Is there an advantage from that standpoint in terms of I can get an even better deal because I'm buying them in bulk from this person? When going after portfolio properties like this, are you able to offer a lower amount because you're buying so many? Or is there any other kind of trade-off or any kind of a gotcha that makes this harder than just going after single properties by themselves?
I think what makes it harder is reviewing the portfolio,
Yeah, I can see that.
right? Reviewing the portfolio because we're no longer talking about your property, a property. Do I reference the 5.2 acre property in Polk County, Florida? Or am I talking about the 1.27 in Citrus County? Like they might own property over a couple different counties, right? So if they own a dozen properties, it's do I reference the parcel number, right? Do I reference the acreage? So kind of identifying like how we're going to review this portfolio together, right, is key. And when we reference, are we going to reference by APN or acreage size? Or, you know what I mean? It's getting on the same page with the owner of how we review these and how we discuss these. Because there's going to be situations where you want to buy them all, and there's going to be somewhere there are leverage points where you go, I don't really want this one. But if it's a deal killer, it's a throw-in, right? But I'm telling the seller that, like, hey, here's what meets our criteria. Here's the 5 or 6 that didn't, or 1 or 2 that didn't. And that later becomes like a negotiation point, right? Where they go, well, I only want to do it if I'm going to sell all of them. And then you have to decide, and that's kind of where you go, yeah, you can sell all of them, but I'm only paying a dime on the dollar on those ones. So I don't think there's like a rule of thumb of like you get a better deal by buying more or you pay more. For me, I look at it like there's economies of scale, so I'm kind of willing to pay a little more. But I really look at it as the individual assets within the portfolio. Like if it's cheap rural vacant land that's probably going to sell via owner financing, I'm going to be offering a lower percentage of market value. If it's buildable residential lots on or near a lake or in a metro area, I'm going to be willing to pay higher. So I'm truly reviewing the portfolio and extending my offer based on the portfolio and the assets in it, not just my rule of thumb of I never cross this mark or this line, right? But when I have that conversation, it's kind of like, hey, we've taken the time to review the properties based on our assessment. We're kind of looking in the ballpark range of here and here, right? And we might be like 40 to 60%, or we might be, 30 to 50, or whatever that is. And this is where then we're shutting up, right? And we're just listening to how they respond and their tonality and how receptive they are to that. And that's, that might have a lot to do with what part of that spectrum we come in at, right?
Right, right. I think something Travis is getting at here is that it also depends on the seller profile, right? Like your ex-builder who's no longer going to build on these homes is very different than somebody who picked up a couple of these at like a tax auction, right? And so like I have one, and then even the land product types make it different on your offer. Like if it's rural versus like an infill lot. I have a small portfolio we're closing on at the end of this month where the owner owns 5 properties. And I mean, they're not, home runs. We're buying them at 5 and we'll be able to sell them probably between 13 and 15. So solid base hits though, right? I'm happy with it. But 2 of them are like not the best properties. When I was looking at it though, I realized with the best 3, if I needed to, I could assign those 3 and still make a profit on the entire deal. So, and it's like, okay, if you're getting a couple free properties, and I know I can sell them because they're in an okay area in Florida, that makes it easy. That's another thing worth thinking about is what your exit strategy is, because if it's an easy infill lot, you might just be able to contact a couple of builders and end up profiting day one on this deal. And if it is, it becomes zero risk in my mind, right? If I've got no capital into this, and excluding like a funder's capital, because I don't view that as zero risk, I want to treat their money well, right? But if I can get all my cash back day one, well then it's pretty easy to either overprice or offer owner financing or whatever else it is that you want to do.
Well, and I like that you talked about, so thinking about kind of the disposition or the exit strategy, right? So thinking about the exit strategy, like that is a play in the playbook. So the assigning it or wholesaling it out to somebody else, like you're talking about, same thing with the portfolios. Maybe Seth, maybe you don't have the cash and you just want to lock it up in a contract, and then you're going to float it in the community. You know what I mean? And the forums, the communities out there got a portfolio of this, right? Reach out to me. Here's what the assignment fee is going to be, right? So there's other exit strategies there. I've reviewed four portfolios in the last 2 weeks, right? Two of them had 50 or more properties in them, lower price point, like most of them under $15,000, around that range. And then the other ones, it was more like we had two of them were 6-packs, right? The total market value being 6 properties, market value being 800,000. Another one, the market value is about 400,000 for those 6 properties. The other portfolios, we were talking about 50 plus. Both of them 50 plus properties, but they were more in the anywhere from like $8,000 to $15,000 range, right? So that was one where we look at the portfolio and we go, what's the exit strategy, right? What's the exit strategy on these? For me, I don't sell off. I don't buy and sell those $8,000 properties. So that would be more like get it under contract. Let's assign that whole contract, because there's a lot of people out there that's their model, right? We'd assign the whole contract, and I wouldn't even bother, but if that's your model, you go, oh, this is fantastic. I could self-fund this and sell 60 of these off one at a time. Okay. Or you just go, okay, I'm going to assign the whole contract and move on. Right. So great point there about exit strategies, because not everything is the arbitrage, buy outright, close, resell. Right. Sometimes like locking it up, controlling it without owning it and no risk is beautiful.